Hey guys, Rilhon here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a tour of the RMS Cedric. And yeah, it's going to be very similar to my Celtic tour because these ships are very similar. They were sister ships after all, and in the Big Four class they were the most similar overall. So it'll be a little bit quicker probably than the Celtic one, but I'll be as thorough as I can. So we'll begin here on the bridge, like on Celtic. This was pretty much identical, except for the fact that they had windows on the deck houses here instead of portholes. So that's a little difference. But yeah, here's the bridge, here is the wheelhouse, we have the short room in here. And then on the deck below we have the captain's quarters, as well as on the deck below this we have the officer's quarters. So they look like this pretty much. Going outside, we can go down an additional deck. This is the first class forward deck house on Cedric. This changed a bit on the Cedric because they extended this deck house out a little bit. It was more compact on Celtic, and this allowed for a few more cabins, I think like 4 additional ones. Also they moved the surgery over to here, and then the doctor's cabin is also here. So that's how this looked, and the cabins look like this. The cabins were pretty much exactly the same as on Celtic. Let's go back up here to the sun deck. We have the raised roof over the lounge, or the library, sorry. Same thing. Here is the compass platform and the skylight over it. Some ventilation equipment, the skylight over the staircase, and then the first funnels here. Also the raised roof here over the first class smoke room and the skylight. Let's go down one deck to the boat deck here. So yeah, let's head into this first class entrance. We are inside her staircase now, the main staircase for first class. This is also pretty much the same as Celtic. But in here, something was very different indeed. This is the library. On Celtic there was a skylight here that led down into the dining room. But on Cedric this was removed. They added in cabins in between. You didn't get skylight, but you got more cabins, so is that a fair trade? I leave that up to you to decide. They did keep this skylight though, so that's nice. We can move further aft here. We get to a lavatory and a bar like on Celtic. Here is the smoke room. This was largely identical to Celtic, except that they added more sofas and also 2 vents here that led down into baths and lavatories. They had these small skylights. That's pretty much the first class accommodations on this deck. If you go outside, we get to the lifeboats, and on Cedric, she was known and unique in a way that she had the well-in type davits to launch the lifeboats. These davits were used on Titanic and Olympic and Britannic. They were used for Britannic in real life. And none of the other big four ships ever had these, so that makes her unique. I guess they wanted to try them out for Cedric and decided to use the regular radial davits, that's what these are called, the old ones, on Baltic and Adriatic basically. Here is the engine room skylight, and in here is a tank room. And that's pretty much the boat deck. Also on Cedric, I should mention, this is a second class deck house, and they added an additional deck on top of this one. On Celtic there was just this deck. On Cedric they added this here, so this went up further. And this was the case on Baltic as well. On Adriatic this was also the case, but they also raised this deck up, so they were in line with each other. Let's head down one deck to the upper promenade deck. We're gonna head into this entrance here. This is where most of the cabins are on the ship, so We have some smaller cabins here. On the Celtic, of course, there were no cabins or lavatories in here. There was just a skylight going through. Here are 2 suites. This one here, with a private bathroom. And then the second suite is over here. On Celtic there was just 1 suite on each side. On Cedric there are 2 on each side. So they doubled them. And they doubled them on Cedric as well. So there are in total 8 cabins. 8 suites on Cedric. Celtic had 4. So yeah, most of the cabins on this deck looked like this. They had this little corridor in, and then they had the entrance doors on each side, like this. And yeah, that's pretty much how it looked. Don't need to show all of them. There were some skylights, allowing some light in. Stewardess cabin, some lavatories in the middle. Lavatories and baths. And that's pretty much this deck for first class. And further aft, if we move over to this superstructure tower here for second class, they have their entrance that leads down. So that's that. There's also this deck here with some lifeboats and some of these cargo pillar type things that they would attach these derricks to load cargo into the hatches basically. And you also have these lifeboats here on this little support structure surrounding the furthest aft mast basically. You can also mention the docking bridge that's technically in line with these other decks. So yeah, that's here in the stern. It was sort of an auxiliary bridge type thing. Let's go forward again to the forecastle deck. So this is C deck. You have the anchor crane here that they would use to hoist an auxiliary anchor over the side. This was also the case on Titanic. You have the anchor gear, some winches, forward hatch, number 2 and number 3 hatches, a bunch of cargo derricks to load cargo. This was the case on Cedric as well. They were identical in that regard, and indeed in many others. Moving aft, you see this deckhouse again. We showed this before, and here is the main sort of first class deckhouse on this deck. Here's another change, pretty major one. They added this middle landing to the staircase, so it now goes into this direction. On Celtic, this continued all the way down, and then it ended here, so you kind of have to go around to the purser's office. But this is a pretty good change, because you want people to be facing these important rooms when they go down the staircase. So that's a good change. They also changed a bit with the layout of the entrances and stuff like that. There are some cabins here forward, but they're the same. Purser's office in here. And then, yeah, here are the suites. So there are 2 on each side, like the deck above. And then there's just a bunch of cabins, and the layout is pretty much the same as the deck above. Here is the barbershop. Same layout as Celtic. And then we're out here on the second class area. There are some skylights leading down into the dining room. And this is their main deck house where they would go into their public rooms. So on the right side here is the smoke room. It had a small bar that would service it. On the other side is the library, kind of like their lounge type thing. And then there's a staircase that leads down into cabins and the dining room. We'll get to that later. Further aft here, we have some second class enclosed promenade space. We have some cargo hatches here. This area separates second class there, and here is third class. So they'll have a bit of sheltered space And then a bunch of promenade space here on the poop deck. Also the kind of aft stern flagpole. But yeah, the third class could access the decks above with these two staircases on each side. Let's head forward again to D deck. So we'll go here into these staircases down to this deck. So this is the forward cargo loading area. So like I said in my Celtic tour, these planks could be removed in addition to this cover. And then the cargo could be loaded here and it could be easily lowered down into the holes. Further forward here you would have the windlass space, various equipment, docking equipment and stuff. Also some crew areas forward. Here are a bunch of third class areas. So here's mainly the single man areas. I can show you this here. They slept in open berths like this. This was also the case on Olympic a little bit and on the Oceanic of 1899. And indeed all previous Viceroy liners. Third class passengers slept in open berth areas like this. There is a hospital over here. And also some life belt storage. Also some here. There's also a staircase that leads up here. Emergency staircase. There are some lavatories and wash places for the men. There's also another staircase leading down into another open berth compartment. Bunch of wash places. Here's the fireman's WC and wash place. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Here's the fireman's entrance. This is where they went to go to their quarters. I haven't built that though because I don't have the plans. Yeah, there's aft, or the two forward cargo doors here in the bow. We will go into this deck house here again on Cedric, and then down these stairs. And then forward, you can see these portholes. They go through here, and we're in first class. So here are their cabins. They were kind of large, very nice, but the same style. Here's some lavatories and baths. Here's the ladies' one. Over on this side is the gentleman's one. And yeah, that's pretty much this area. Here's the first class dining room. It's supposed the same as the Celtic, except for the dome, of course. But other than that, it's the same. Here's a staircase. You can see here again that they did this middle landing. On Celtic, like I said, the staircase went down all the way, and then the stairs turned on the deck and went down straight instead of the middle landing here. Further aft, we get some crew areas here. So here is the chief steward, his office and his cabin. And also here is the galley. I haven't built that though. Here is a pantry and a saloon bar. And further aft here are some cabins. These could be allocated for second class. Most of the time though they weren't. It's only after this point that they were usually allocated for second class. There were these sort of interchangeable cabins that you would find on Titanic, for example. But yeah, they all look like this pretty much. Here is the barbershop for second class. And in here is the dining saloon. Should mention here the cabins on this deck below. They're all the same as well. Look like this. There are quite a lot of them down on this deck. And then further forward there were some as well. All the way back here. There are more cabins on Cedric compared to on Celtic, mainly with second class. Second class was heavily expanded on all of the ships actually, on each consecutive one, so This shows how popular second class ended up being. Yeah, the dining room here is connected with the staircase that we saw before. Here's the library again. This went down. Dining saloon like this. They have a piano here, very nice. There are some portholes here. You can see through, allow some light in. Here's the aft cargo loading area. And there are some more third class areas here. Here's the women's hospital. And here's the men's hospital. There's also some entrances and lavatories. And then further forward here would be some more crew quarters, and this would also head to the galley. Here is the furthest aft cargo loading area, very big. What's different here though was that they removed the cargo loading doors on the sides, and they just had these on top basically. So that was different from Celtic. And it was only Celtic that had these doors. Cedric, Baltic and Adriatic all removed them from their designs. Further aft here we have another staircase leading down, and also the general room for third class on this side. There's a pantry in the middle, and there's also the smoke room on the other side. Further aft, again like on Celtic, we have the steering gear. And these rooms here also doubled as dining saloons, just so you know. And that is pretty much it. So that is pretty much Cedric. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. And I will see you in the Baltic tour. Bye bye.